Regret is a silent specter that haunts the corridors of my mind, a constant reminder of the lessons I chose to ignore over the years. As I sit here reflecting on the past 30 years of my life, I find myself grappling with the weight of missed opportunities and the wisdom I once brushed aside. Life has a way of presenting us with lessons, some subtle and others as loud as a thunderclap, yet I often turned a blind eye, convinced that I knew better. In my youth, I was certain of my invincibility, convinced that I could navigate the world on my own terms. The first lesson I ignored was the importance of listening. I prided myself on being independent, believing that my instincts would guide me. But in my eagerness to assert my autonomy, I failed to heed the voices of those who cared for me. My parents, my friends, and even strangers offered insights that could have spared me from countless pitfalls. I remember a friend warning me about a toxic relationship I was diving headfirst into. I dismissed their concerns, thinking I understood the dynamics better than anyone else. That relationship spiraled into years of heartache, a painful reminder that sometimes the most loving advice comes wrapped in uncomfortable truths. Then there was the lesson about time. I always assumed I had plenty of it. Youth has a way of creating a false sense of eternity, and I squandered years chasing fleeting pleasures instead of investing in relationships and experiences that truly mattered. I didn't realize how precious time was until it slipped through my fingers like grains of sand. I often canceled plans with friends, thinking I could always reschedule. But as the years passed, those friends drifted away, and I was left with a lingering sense of isolation. I remember the day I received a call that a dear friend had moved across the country without a goodbye. I felt a pang of regret, knowing I had taken their presence for granted. It was a wake-up call that echoed in my heart, reminding me that time waits for no one. Financial wisdom was another lesson I brushed off with naive confidence. I believed I could always earn more, that the future would provide. I racked up debts, indulging in a lifestyle that was unsustainable, convinced that my career would always be on an upward trajectory. I ignored the advice of seasoned professionals who urged me to save, to invest wisely, to prepare for the unexpected. It wasn't until a sudden job loss left me scrambling for stability that I understood the weight of financial literacy. The anxiety that came with living paycheck to paycheck was a lesson I learned the hard way, one that left me wishing I had taken those early warnings seriously. Health was another area where I let ignorance reign. In my 20s, I felt invincible, a belief that led me to neglect my physical and mental well-being. I indulged in poor eating habits, skipped workouts, and dismissed the importance of regular checkups. I thought I could outrun the consequences of my choices, but my body had other plans. A health scare in my 30s was a jarring reminder that I was not above the laws of nature. It forced me to confront the reality that my body was not an infinite resource to be exploited. I began to appreciate the wisdom of self-care, but the journey was riddled with regret for the years I had taken my health for granted. Perhaps the most profound lesson I ignored was the importance of vulnerability. I built walls around my heart, convinced that showing weakness was a flaw. I shied away from expressing my emotions, fearing judgment and rejection. I thought I was protecting myself, but in reality, I was isolating myself from authentic connections. I watched as friendships faded and relationships faltered because I was afraid to let anyone in. It wasn't until I faced a personal crisis that I realized the power of vulnerability. In opening up, I found support and understanding, but it came too late for many of the connections I had lost. The regret of not embracing vulnerability sooner lingers like a shadow, reminding me that true strength lies in our ability to be open and honest. As I reflect on these lessons, I realize that regret is a double-edged sword. It serves as a reminder of the past, but it also offers an opportunity for growth. Each lesson I ignored has shaped me into the person I am today, albeit with a heavy heart. I often wonder how different my life might have been had I embraced these teachings earlier. What if I had listened more intently, valued time more wisely, taken my health seriously, and allowed myself to be vulnerable the possibilities swirl in my mind, a bittersweet cocktail of what could have been. Yet amidst the regret, I find glimmers of hope. I have learned to embrace the present, to cherish the relationships I still have, and to prioritize my well-being. I have begun to listen more, not just to others, but to my own inner voice, which has grown wiser with age. I understand now that life is not a linear path, but a series of winding roads, each with its own lessons to impart. I cannot change the past, nor can I erase the regrets that linger like shadows, but I can choose how I move forward. I can acknowledge the lessons I ignored and allow them to guide my future choices. I can strive to be more present, to invest in my relationships, to nurture my health, and to embrace vulnerability. Regret may be a heavy burden, but it doesn't have to define me. Instead, it can be a catalyst for change, a reminder that life is a continuous journey of learning. As I step into the next chapter of my life, I carry these lessons with me, determined to live with intention and purpose, hoping to inspire others to heed the wisdom I once overlooked. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to get more such videos.